time, your gateway to the world. AFR! American Freedom Radio. Give it to them.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and happy Thursday. I don't know. It always seems like Friday when we're here, though. It should be like Freaky Friday or Thumpin' Thursday or something, as we are joined by Thor. Woohoo! Hey. Put your hammers out. Hey, I'm getting interrupted already. Woohoo! How you doing?
All right. I only hear Thursday. What do you say on Wednesdays?
Wacky Wednesday.
And Tuesday?
Let's see.
Too late. All right.
Too late Tuesdays. That's what I say. Yeah. Too bad. So sad. Well, happy freaking day, everyone. Yeah. It is, you know what? Thursday just happened. Really making fun of you.
Thank you.
Thor in human flesh. And
I'm Thor. Stop it. I'm Thor. That's enough.
Yeah, so I don't really have, like, regular guests on other days of the week that reminded me of, some jerk like Thor.
Are you calling me irregular?
And jerk. You missed that one, too? I mean, no. Come on.
No, I heard that.
All right, woohoo! we used to have a Monday guest, and it was Happy Moon Day. But, anyways, here we are. And have we got a topic for you tonight?
Okay,
whatever.
You hate me.
Let me stop.
When I do that. I'm sorry, Chris. She's going to yell at me.
Just let me know when I can start.
Give me a little break. Does everybody want to know a little secret about moon days?
Yes.
Christie taught me how to do mooning on Skype. I was all excited.
Woo-hoo! But it was right before we consummated our relationship, and I think we've got about 2 more weeks before our little alien god is born.
What happened? What did I miss? Was I abducted and not allowed to be part of the ceremony?
You're the one who frickin' announced it, man, live on the air.
Oh.
Yeah.
I have to get my multiple personalities in order and try to get them to talk to each other. This is getting difficult to keep track of.
You could just start keeping notes. I have friends with multiple personalities that do that. And they just write it down, talked with Christie today, told everybody we're having a baby on Soul Journeys Radio. And then you can just flip through your notepad before we start the show.
It's nice to be able to claim amnesia, though. I'm going to have to think it through.
All right. Well, you do that. Well, I the intro.
I apologize for interrupting your perfect flow.
It's actually really boring and dumb and drab, but I do think it's important to say the day, and I don't even know what today is, Freaky Friday or Thumpin' Thursday or something like that. Here we go.
I apologize. I retreat. I take a bow. Go. Please proceed, dear princess.
Thor's taking a bow. He's surrendering.
Yeah.
I like that.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah, let's let St. Toby-1 Kenobi take over here.
Are you ahead? Go ahead.
No, Obi-Wan knows when to shut up.
Yeah, that was boring, though.
That's true. The intro's boring, too. So, actually, this is better. But, you know what? Welcome. Yeah, you do the intro. Come on.
No, I'll sound like a stultified idiot. All right, today on Soul Journeys Radio, I will not be using my radio voice. I will stop this immediately. Today on Soul Journeys Radio.
Radio voice, schmadio voice. Just get real, right?
Are relationships even possible?
Heck no.
Are they even possible between men and women? Is this just a pipe dream? What's been going on? Will men and women ever be able to meet in a place where they can get along? Will the battle of the sexes, of the X's and the sexes, ever be finished? I don't know. This sounds tough.
Not till I kick your ass. Yes. That'll be the end of it. When we finally win and step into our rightful place of ownership and possession and all of that fun stuff.
Yes. Ignoring that for the moment, although it's good to come back to that.
Yes.
How is this? Notice how I let you talk.
You're great. You're really good at that. I'm not so much.
You're gonna kick my ass.
No, I'm a Virgo, and it upsets the natural flow, you know. And I need to get better at getting off track once in a while. So thanks.
I'm good at that. I'm good at random access, erasing the mind, getting on and off topics rapidly. How is the sexual energy, why is it the most powerful spiritual energy? Sex and spirit together. Why and how is the sexual energy the most powerful spiritual energy? What? That can't be true. Why and how, now check this one out. Why and how has sex been controlled by certain vested interests, or you could call them the elites, to create our current slave planet? We have a slave planet currently. Most people are completely living enslaved lives. Even if they have hundreds of millions of dollars, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So why and how has sex been used and controlled and manipulated by the elites, archons, or whoever you think, religionists, churches, wherever you think it's coming from, we could argue about that, to create a slave planet? How does real sexuality melt the id entity, identity? When you look at the word identity, it is the id entity, the entity of the suppressed subconscious. How does real sexuality melt the id entity, the idiot entity, the identity, and clear that fallen ego in us? Is that even possible? Is this just a pipe dream? Should we even talk ideally like this tonight? Or should we just submit and give up and go, well, it's just how men are. You can't change men. Men are stupid, they're idiots, they're insensitive. Then from the men's side, can't live with women, can't kill them. Right?
Well, we could. We just have to find a good hiding spot to bury the bodies. That's why I moved out to the country.
Yes, the good chemical factory to melt down the bones. Is it even possible? Are Christie and I going to talk about ideal? Is it idealistic? Is it hopeless? Because you reach very hopeless places. Look at the highest romantic story, the most popularized romantic story for the last 500 years in Western civilization is what? Mr. Shake His Spear at us. Mr. Shakespeare. Romeo and Juliet. How does that end up exactly? Pretty much a double suicide or a murder-suicide, isn't it? The highest romantic play, they're remaking the movie, by the way. They're going to make a new movie with the actual words, the actual lines from the Shakespearean play, but in a modern movie. Why is it so powerful? By the way, Shakespeare was obviously an ascended master. Was he Sir Francis Bacon? We don't know for sure. But who was he really? What went on? You know? And where's that line? Why? The wisdom where he wrote these plays that have lasted for 500 years, and it's the same human drama as back then. Nothing much has changed. We have a real opportunity at changing it. But look at that. The highest romantic drama ever written in the Western world, or any of them, Tristan and Isolde, all of those stories are horrible. There's murder and death and betrayal going on galore. It's almost as bad as the Bible. Right?
Yes.
Or any other religious story. Krishna's story is just as bad. So, with that in mind, and let's put it in our hearts, if the highest ideal of romance is a murder-suicide, Romeo and Juliet, is a murder-suicide. Get it through our heads. Here I'm going to use another one. We're laying the foundation for the fact that what is. By their fruits you shall know them. What is. In other words, you can tell you're not doing something the right way by the results. If you're crashing your plane repeatedly, you're not flying it right. And I use this as an example, too. I'm doing shock therapy here in the beginning. A little bit of soul shock therapy. Wake up! Would you? Hey.
I hate it when you do that. Can I just get some rest here?
Hey, listen here. Give me another beer. Hey, listen up. Hey, listen here. Psy from Duck Dynasty. Yup, T-shirts being made of Psy. Hey, listen here. Give me another beer. I understand. The masses are asses. The masses are asleep. So we're going to talk ideally here. By the way, what we're going to talk about tonight, the vast majority of humans alive today have no business even trying it. It is like giving matches to 3-year-olds. Actually, not matches. It's like giving a flamethrower to 3-year-olds. Pointing it at yourself and showing them where the trigger button is. This is why secret esoteric teachings from the Greeks to the Etruscans to the Atlanteans to the Egyptians to the secret Kabbalah to every secret order on the planet doesn't teach openly that sex is actually the most powerful spiritual energy. But there seems to be a time now on earth when all things shall be revealed. Now, I know I'm idealistic about it, and part of me thinks, really? Should we even talk about this stuff? Because every other school teaches basically, no, the masses are not ready for this. But may God strike me dead if it's not the right time to do it.
1, 2, 3. I'm just kidding.
I'm still here.
Exactly. So it's time.
There we go. I love that. So another one is, would you, okay, Romeo and Juliet, murder-suicide. Truth. They both end up dead. Okay. Here's another one. 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 of marriages end up in a divorce. In a divorce.
Is that all?
Tammy Wynette. I'm going to channel Tammy Wynette. Okay. 7 out of 10 marriages. Now let me ask you a question. Would you ever get in a car or imagine an airplane, an airline. You've heard me say this one before, Christie. Would you get in an airplane whose track record is 7 out of 10 flights that take off, crash, burn, and kill everyone on board? You wouldn't even get on one that does that 1 out of 100 times.
Yeah.
So what is it that continues us humans to do the marriage thing? And how has marriage been perverted?
Free sex.
Thank you for your id. There was. Thank
Isn't
you.
it the only reason?
Well, more like predictable sex.
Yeah, boring.
More like regular sex. Yeah.
Breakup sex is much better than married sex.
Yeah. And we know this. So we are slowly killing ourselves. We have a deaf culture. Life is the life force, is your spontaneous heart, is children, is new growth, is nature, is sex, is your spontaneous playing of music, the artists, the spontaneous open feelings. The life force does that. Our current culture, the fruits of it, let's look at it. What you will know them by their fruits. By their fruits you shall know them, a famous teacher said. You can also say, by the results you'll know how. We care about the results. I don't care. What are you doing? What are you getting done? What are we getting done with our current culture? We're creating all the natural elements, wood, fire, earth, air, all the things. We're creating mountains of plastic garbage. Okay? That's the end result. By their fruits you shall know them. The fruits of our civilization, of our cult, of our culture, is mountains of garbage, zombified people by the billions on massive amounts of drugs. You can't argue with me. The results are what they are. Terrified people, people with massive neuroses, right? Whether you're taking pharmaceuticals or wanting to, everybody knows, Shakespeare's showing up again, there's something really rotten in the state of Denmark. There's something incredibly rotten with the whole culture, the whole cult. The money-based system, The fact that we poison our foods, we poison our kids, we poison our bodies, we poison our minds, we poison our sex, we poison everything, our current culture. So, in this culture, would you trust what the authorities, the experts are telling you about religion and sex? If their result, here's the result of religions. You want to know what the result of religions are? Go up to any religious place. Let's go to a church. What's out in back of the church? The old-style churches. The graveyard. The result of that church, apparently, everybody goes in the front door their whole life. They're born, they're baptized, they go there, they get married there, then they go out the back door and you get stuck in the ground. The fruit of religionism is death. Literally, the graveyard is in the back of the church. Would you trust these people to tell you about sexuality? I would not.
Right on, Tobias. Very well said. It is that time, though, so hang on. We will be right back. Stay tuned. SoulJourneysRadio.com.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifilan brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifilan. There's nothing else like Modifilan. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifilan banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
No rules. No rules. No taboo topics. No taboo topics. No fear of doom. No fear of doom. We are American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
Welcome back, and thanks for joining us here tonight. Soul Journeys Radio on AmericanFreedomRadio.com with personal awakening coach and author Tobias Lars. He is the author of Listening to the Sun and Awakening Souls, definitely one of my favorite books, which you can find at his website, soulcounseling.com, or, of course, Amazon. And he is also the creator of Course of Awakening. So if you cannot see him in person, you can get some jam-packed video series at Course of Awakening, as well as extremely affordable weekend teleseminars that you can join from anywhere in the world. That's courseofawakening.com. And if you would like to join us for the chat, by the way, I love your comments. You're cracking me up here. That's over at souljourneysradio.com. And I think we left off talking about breakup sex. Or wait, no, maybe that's just where I got stuck.
We were establishing the fact that our planet has created a death culture. The results are what they are. People live 80 years, short lives, or, I don't know what the average lifespan is, but even in the, quote, West, people die very quickly. And most of our lives are spent in a materialistic hell, really. Working for the money, stuck in cubicles with whatever little breaks here and there, but most of it is stuck in our heads and in our fears, and we do not spend much time in communion, in oneness. Communion, come oneness unto me, in nature or with ourselves or with our bodies. And so just to establish, not to make ourselves feel depressed or like we suck even worse than we do, but you have to be realistic about what's really happened. So religionism obviously is twisted upside down, backwards, in denial sex. Most recently being exposed, of course, in the Vatican with a massive pedophilia scandal. But I ask you this, didn't you always know that that was going on? Didn't we always know? I did, my whole life. Last 30 years, 40 years of my life, I've always known that the priests were, abusing the boys. I knew that. How could we? Well, of course we all knew that. But we didn't want to admit to it or confront it or surface it. We were all in collective denial about it. We knew that the neighbor was creepy. We knew that the teacher was, they were doing that and this and that and the other. We knew that. But there was something in us that were enabling the whole system. We've created this collectively. So really the scapegoat thing about, banksters and pedophile priests and the Illuminati and the Archons and all this, that's just an excuse that we haven't really wanted to take our own power back. We've been conflicted with our own power. So sexuality, because it is obviously the life force. I just have to repeat basics here. This is Basics 101. Children, where do babies come from? They come from sex. That's right. You have the penis, remember the first time you had
What's sex, Daddy?
Sex ed, exactly. Go ask your mother. No, don't ask your mother, never mind, eat your beans. Right? Let's suppress all this. That's been the way of generally doing it. Well, if you suppress something, it gets twisted. If you allow it to have its rightful place, now the God of the universe, the source of the universe, the higher intelligence, whatever created your heart, your body, whatever created a rose, what grows the rose and what breathes you as a human, there's a life force that is breathing all of us right now. That is much more intelligent. You can't stop your breath. You can hold your breath for about a minute, the average person, and then you will start breathing again. That's a very strong life force. Actually stronger than your personality and your ego. What is that force? Whatever created the eyeball or the heart of human beings is a lot more intelligent than human beings. You can call that God, source, your own higher self, soul energy, oneness, the infinite, whatever, Brahman. Doesn't matter what you call it because it is all names. So whatever that intelligence is, it surfaces most powerfully. Actually, it surfaces in many ways in human beings. Through brilliant insight, through singing and beautiful words, through the heart opening and feeling, through the solar plexus being intuitive across the galaxies, knowing all things under heaven and earth, through the sexual eruption, fountain. This is the place that actually creates new vehicles, i.e. bodies for other human beings. So, of course, the life force is you could argue, it is the most prevalent and powerful. We create babies not by reading the Bible and spouting fancy theories. Feel this. You do not create more life by reading old dusty manuscripts, whether they're the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita or the Dhammapada or the Biblia, which just loosely means loosely collection of books. Reading these dusty old manuscripts, the Dead Sea Scrolls. The dead people see scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls. God has fun with this. The Dead Sea Scrolls. So if you get stuck in scrolls, you're going to be in a place full of trolls. All right? Life gets created from fucking, from making love, from sex, from penetration, from mixing life force in full-on coitus.
Say that again. Life, how does life begin?
Through holy fucking.
One more time.
want to make sure that all the affiliate stations drop us? I understand.
I'm pretty sure they did long ago. So if not, give us a call. And
and by the way, I want to say, no, but it's so ridiculous. It is not by reading fancy manuscripts or doing fancy chemistry experiments. Now, there is a push to create in vitro and test tube babies and all this stuff, yes. But ultimately, that is a very dangerous path to go down. That's where we create these chimeras, the strange genetic mixtures that happened way back in Atlantis, by the way, and that we are just repeating history right now again. By the way, I could speak very beautifully and gently, like Wayne Dyer and Deepak Chopra, or even David Wilcox, who I love very much.
Blah, blah, blah.
I could do a very gentle and very reasonable approach and speak to you about it intellectually. But if you want that kind of talk only, go see Krishnamurti. Krishnamurti, there's videos of him on YouTube. He spoke for 35 years. Nothing fucking happened. People followed him for 35 years, but nothing changed. See? Osho tried a little by stirring it up and actually encouraging his followers. You need to go through the sexuality to have real spirituality.
Yeah.
So, the original mess up, the original screw up, has been that somehow the infinite creator, call her what you want, call him what you want, whatever created your heart and your eyeballs and digestion and the idea of thinking. The idea of thinking. What is that? What is the actual self-consciousness? Well, whatever being or higher intelligence that created that is a lot smarter than us. That same being in its infinite intelligence created cocks and pussies.
Nice. Say that again.
Yes, that infinite intelligence, God loves sex because God created sex. God loves sex because God created sex. She loves it. He loves it. It is perfectly created. What, did it make a mistake all of a sudden? No, it's a perfectly designed human being, mechanism, body, solar body, chakras, etc. It is perfectly made. Now, as we do these, so the judgments we have on these open, if you want living waters in your life, you need to let the fountains flow. If you want your fields to grow, you got to let the fountains flow. So these fountains in our physical bodies, emotional bodies, you can call them chakras, you can call them whatever you want. These natural energies are what heal. There's never been one single medical doctor who's ever healed anybody. I'll say it again. There's never been one single medical doctor who's ever healed anybody. It is the body itself that heals itself. A doctor can make it easier by applying certain, poultices or certain herbs or certain situations or even laying on of hands energies. Now, our system is so devolved that we're actually using poisons and horrible drugs. All we do is kill, 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 kill. Antibiotics, the very word itself means anti-life. Bio means life. Antibiotics is anti-life. This is why we're in our current situation. So this natural life force that erupts the most powerful, can you orgasm through your pineal gland?
Yeah, I think we can.
All right. Well, not the
wrong answer.
No.
I've had orgasms without touching myself or anyone else, and not even doing that, whatever they call it. I don't know what it's called, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, right, my pineal gland on down. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. But you will not be creating actual life beings through your pineal gland, another body.
That's true.
So you can argue, yeah. The orgasms that we are the most powerful and connected come through our sexuality.
Said come.
Yes, I did. Now we're going to say more of that in just a minute. And so we have to accept that the infinite creator, the source, whatever created this, knows what it's doing, and that sex, that is the way we are meant to reproduce. I'm bringing this to a fact that obviously the creator, creatrix, the father, mother, source, God, loves sexuality. And it is meant to be an absolute blessing, an absolute blissing, an absolute enjoyment as part of the creation. Now, how are we doing with that on the planet Earth currently? What has happened? We have obviously gotten stuck or repressed or messed up with our sexuality. So we have religions that largely poo-poo sexuality. They make fun of it, look down upon it as crude and animalistic.
Yeah, it's beneath us.
It's beneath us. These are the judgments.
That's lower chakras.
Right. In God's world, all things are holy. Just like in Mother Nature's world, all things are holy, whether it's a fungus or a worm. It is just as holy as a soaring bald eagle. Okay? We decide that we want to go back to the heavens, and so we use the bald eagle as a symbol. Never mind that the bald eagle really is a vulture. It's a carrion feeder 90% of the time. The bald eagle is it feeds on roadkill. It feeds on already dead animals. That's its role. But we like to have the knowledge of good and evil to divide things, and the biggest division we have done at our own peril and really screwed up the oneness. The way you separate oneness is you divide it into good and bad, the knowledge of good and evil. And the major mistake we have done is we have said, or we've been convinced to, or we've bought into the mind meme that somehow God and sex are separate. The separation of God, source, from sexuality, from fucking and cunts and cocks and coming, and I'm using those words on purpose, because it's a very, this is what George Carlin played with, God bless him, God rest his soul, the 7 dirty words. And he sowed those seeds for us to realize they're just sounds. That when we divide things into good and bad, we are creating a divided and conquered world. Let me say that again. When we divide the oneness, which it's all good, into good and bad, the knowledge of good and evil through our fallen egos, when we divide it into good and bad, so it becomes, because we are the creator gods. As we decree, so it becomes. So let it be written, so let it be done. As a man thinketh, as a woman believeth, so it is. We are. Jesus says, and every teacher says directly to our face, you are a creator. Don't you know you are a God? So as you decide your world, so it is. So when you have a thought pattern, this is bad, you decide that's bad. It doesn't mean it's really bad, but you will experience it as bad. You'll create demons and all kinds of horrible things in the creation by this knowledge of good and evil. So the biggest separation we've done is to go, oh, God would never have a hard-on. God would never indulge in sex. She would never, a holy woman would never love getting fucked. Feel that one. Feel Mother Mary on her knees. Please.
Yes. Even Mother Mary probably likes to get fucked.
There we go. Good, you said it. See? Now feel that, people. I know we're pushing the boundaries here, but we have to. Mother Mary herself. Because otherwise we're schizophrenic beings. We're separating our upper chakras. These are holy, my heart and my voice. I sing like the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, right? That's holy, really? But all these lower feelings like the solar plexus, emotions, those are just horrible. Men should never feel emotions. And then the sex should only be used a certain way and kept under horrible control. And hey,
honey, I think we have time for a quickie here. But we have to take a short break, so hang on. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. SoulJourneysRadio.com.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
Yo, what's up? Check this out.
The voice of the revolution. American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
All right, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed your break as much as we did. See, even quickies are good as well. We're talking about real relationships, men and women, sexual energy, and all of that fun stuff. Hopefully we're not pushing it too much. But if we are, you can call in and scream uncle. That's 218-339-8525. That's 218-339-8525. And Tobias, you're hitting on some real deep truths here.
And I know we haven't even gone into actual, the thing that is of most interest, especially to women, but men too, is relationship between ourselves, between each other. And actually, it is all perfect. I want us to be tender with each other too, because this is a very difficult area. We are so triggerable. We are so apt to, quote, hurt ourselves, stub our toes, by all the whole idea of cheating and hiding. The sex force is so strong, as we've talked about. Obviously, it is what creates life. Now, nature has no problem with it. We have judged it as good and evil. And there are certain beings on the planet, or that started the religions on this planet, the control religions, that want to do this. What's the quickest way to take down a planet, to control a planet? To just control the sexuality. If you want to control, this is how kings used to take over other countries, right? F-U-C-K, fornication under command of the king. Meaning it was okay for the soldiers to rape and impregnate the conquered women. Right? F-U-C-K. Fornication under command of the king. For unlawful carnal knowledge. Yeah, command, right. The king would issue a command and say, I want you to have sex, rape the women, because if we put our genetics, our energy into these people, we will assimilate them into my kingdom. So if there's an outside force that wants to take over this planet a certain way, they will want their soul entities also to be able to be born into this planet. Now, if those soul entities happen to feed off of fear, shame, guilt, self-judgment, which there are entities that feed off of that, then they would create religions that would make all sex partially tinged with guilt and having to hide it in shame, so that their minions, their little denial demons, could be born into human bodies. Which is why most humans today are a mixture of denial spirits, spirits that have denied the life force, and life spirits that want life. We literally are, most humans today are complete mixtures of beautiful tendencies of love and altruistic motivations, wanting to help each other, and so forth, that come out in emergency situations. Emergency, there's a hurricane, everybody helps each other. But then there are also mixes of our hidden agendas. So humans have become this controlled, divided slave planet. Now we could go into who did this in Jehovahism and the Anunnaki and the Archons and all that energy behind it. And you can Google that and look it up yourself. It is true. There are entities that feed on fear, shame, guilt, denial, self-recrimination, self-judgment, or entities that energy is energy, you know. So these actual entities do get created, and they can get bigger and bigger as long as you feed them energy. This is why you can create idols or demonic gods, literally. You can create demonic gods, right? Because everything is energy, and we are the actual creators. But if we put the power outside ourselves. So sexuality has been used for this purpose also. Horrible Illuminati, satanic, child sacrifice, people sacrifice, just denial sex rituals go on every day on this planet. Now, you can schizophrenize people so they don't remember participating. That's the MK Ultra thing, the split personality, create multiples. But the sexual energy is just energy. Water can be the most silky thing on the planet, or you can jump off the Golden Gate Bridge and kill yourself. The water is not evil. The sexual energy will simply add energy to whatever you, the God human, are creating. So it can be completely misused, sexuality. Now, an obvious one is obviously when you're forcing people, or I'm going to say it very graphically. Yes, there's evidence that inside the Vatican, in the basement of the Vatican, child sacrifice sexual rituals have gone on over the centuries. Why? Because it is a way of killing the innocence. See, innocence, the heart, the Jeshua, the Jesus, the Christ, the King Arthur, the Krishna, the innocent heart, the irrepressible heart, energy, not wimpy. Jesus was not wimpy, neither is King Arthur or Krishna. Very powerful beings, but they were heart beings. See, the heart cannot be conquered or controlled, the heart and the free human. But that level of innocence can be through sympathetic magic by child sacrifice rituals, horrible stuff. But we have to open our eyes. Just like we didn't know about the priests doing that, what they were doing with little boys, we don't want to know about this. Secrets can only survive when they're in the dark. Secrets can only survive when they're in the dark, when they're surfaced. Not surfaced. They have to surface. Joe Paterno is a great example of it, the old Penn State coach. Yeah, he let one of his assistant coaches molest boys for years and years and years and years. Why? Because he didn't want trouble. See, we're all guilty when we don't surface the stuff. We're all complicit. And one of the biggest things we've all been complicit in is dishonest sexuality. Now, it's obviously a misuse when it's religionist suppression, and it turns into horrible, Buddhist monks or priests or whatever doing rituals that are just about stealing energy from innocence, i.e. abusing little boys. Unless we just make the Vatican the culprit, even in beautiful Hawaii, where we go to swim with the dolphins and hang out with the turtles and go visit Pele, and it's paradise, right? Well, guess what some of the priests were doing in Hawaii before Captain Cook came? Some of them were abusing and murdering and sexually ritualizing and then killing young men inside some caves in the islands of Hawaii. So this is not about, native people had it all together and all the religions are evil. No. It exists in every arena. Every arena. So the sweet, peace-loving Hawaiians were doing it too. They were doing human sacrifice rituals. We've got to get real. If you don't get real with it, you can't. If you don't, go sift the wheat from the chaff and look at what really is, you can't heal it. If you go to a doctor and he says, "What's wrong with you?" and you say, "I don't want to tell you. I don't want to look at it." He can't help you. She can't help you. So we have to get real with it. This horrible misuse of sexual energy has existed everywhere. Now, if it's done in religionist, ritualistic sex misuse, it can also be done to awaken the soul, to activate the soul in sexual rituals, religious rituals as well. Everything can be used or misused. It can look very similar, but it is the intention behind it. See, the ritual of 12 people standing around in robes and one woman laying in the center and getting, sexualized by all 12 of those guys can be a horrible ritual, and now I'm going to push some boundaries, with certain intentions, eyes wide shut, etc. Or it can be an incredibly awakening ritual. Beyond personality, beyond ego, because the way we merge back with oneness and source, we go beyond our personality and ego. See? Yeah. Now I'm pushing some real truth here. So, religious ritual can be used for good, for draining energy, for shutting down, for murdering innocence. That has certainly happened on Earth. It has also been used for beautiful love ritual. Still, there's more good energy, sexual energy on planet Earth than there is denial energy on sexual energy. But be careful of how you self-judge. See, it can all be fine. You can do anal sex and giant orgies, and it can be completely holy ritual, and God loves it. Or you can do a marriage that was sanctified by the Dinkeldorf Church, okay? And the deacon and the ministers are all standing around you praying that day you're sanctifying the marriage. And that can be satanic sex, even if you're married and you're doing it as a husband and wife. You understand? It's the energy behind it. If there's an innocence, an openness, and no self-judgment, and allowing God's source, the source of the universe that created your bodies, allowing it to be present during the act is what matters. If you're separating God from sex, you're creating what? Godless sex. Empty, void sex. That certainly exists. You can do dark light sex on this planet. It's done all the time. And you can do heart love sex. And they can look exactly the same on the surface. Full on talking dirty to each other. You know, full on Kama Sutra, scratching, biting, clawing, screaming, all of that. And it can be super holy or it can be super against life. It's not how it...
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
What is it about this topic that brings out the 4-year-olds in all of us?
It does. Now, let's get innocent with our sex. When we
That's right.
Back.
Come, ye as little children.
Come on, come back.
That's right. It's time for another quickie, everyone. Hold your horses. We will be right back. Tobias Lars here on SoulJourneysRadio.com.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
No rules, no rules. No taboo topics, no taboo topics. No fear of doom, no fear of doom. We are American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
All right. Welcome back. Top of the second hour here tonight. Soul Journeys Radio on AmericanFreedomRadio.com with Tobias Lars, the author of Listening to the Sun and Awakening Souls, which you can find at his website, soulcounseling.com. He is a personal awakening coach and helps people with soul retrieval and all sorts of crazy stuff. I mean, heck, if he can help me, there's hope for you all. We're talking about relationships, sex, sexual energy, and all of that fun stuff here tonight. But very important, I think we are, this is a very special segment here as Tobias is going to join us for karaoke. No. Give it up for Toby. Oh, did I hear that wrong?
There's no way I could do a whole lot of love without.
Oh, yes, you can.
No way. No.
Oh, you can do it.
I don't do other people's songs. Peer pressure doesn't work on me. Anyway. So,
you can't do it. You suck. Don't do it.
Right. I do suck.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
I want to point out in our fringe show here that obviously we're pushing the boundaries big time with playing with all this, that this is not a license for licentiousness or promiscuity. I am the least promiscuous guy I know in this lifetime. And I think I've used this example, I've mentioned it, I know, on the show before. I remember in college thinking, that, what's wrong with me? I don't want to fuck every woman that, makes herself available to me. And because the peer pressure, especially in the U.S., it's a little bit more in the U.S. that way than it is in Europe. It's a little more balance between people being able to approach each other, men and women. And it's not, you're not automatically considered gay if you don't have sex with every woman that offers herself or, makes herself available or hints at her interest. And so it's not about promiscuity, Once your sex balances itself and you can really enjoy it, then you are less addicted to it. It's kind of like when you tell Johnny, little Johnny, you can have anything you want in the kitchen, but don't go in the cookie jar. So our current system has basically said you can have everything you want, but you can't do that. So we've all become fixated and in arrested development about sexuality. So it's not a license here. It's rather you need to get real and intuitive about where your energy really moves. What are you really attracted to? Where does your sexual energy really move? And not judge that, but be interested in the natural sexual energy that you have. I was going to bring this up too. We talked about religionism, where there can be terrible misuse inside of religious or spiritual cults of sexuality, repressing it through controlled religions. Obviously it gets very weird. You have, the Mormons think, or people interpret things that, oh yeah, I can have 12 wives. Well, can she have 12 husbands? Well, oh no. One obvious way is if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. Anytime it's unbalanced that way, it is obviously not healthy. There's an oppression by one sex over the other. By the way, to the women out there was a time when the matriarchy oppressed here on the planet as well. There were sectors and cultures where the matriarchy controlled the men, and that is equally as unbalanced. You can read a book by a woman, I think she's from Columbia University, called When God Was a Woman. But she's mainly just talking about the fact that matriarchies existed. But those were equally unbalanced as well. If the feminine is simply using men for their energies and then killing them and throwing them away, that is obviously just as unhealthy as men using women, raping them and killing them and throwing them away. And this has happened from both sides on our planet. So it's not about who's right and wrong. One of the favorite ways that the dividing and conquering influences on our planet like to get us to fight each other is to have the battle of the sexes, meaning women feeling men are stupid, insensitive, they're the cause of all the wars on the earth. If they would just wake up, we women are all awake and you stupid, insensitive men. Now watch the trap there. And it goes the other way, of course, the patriarchy feeling women are absolutely hysterical, emotional nut jobs. We can't let them run any of the planet, right? So either side there is unbalanced. Because look what it does. Here's the mechanism of it. You get to feel, oh, I'm enlightened, I'm awake, and I'm aware. We know better. That satisfies the ego. And you get to project all the ills of the world on the other sex. Stupid men, idiot, emotional women, right? You get to be right, and your ego gets, which the ego loves, and you get to project what's wrong with the world on the other. Classic denial, ego denial, avoiding looking at ourselves. So the battle of the sexes is a favorite way of the devil, of the ego, of the fallen ego. See, there's nothing wrong with ego, by the way. Ego has its right place. It's necessary for it being able to experience individuality. The experience of individual individuation, the ego, that is its role. It is the ego taking over your whole system and running the show. That is not. Imagine the tech guy who tunes the guitars trying to play the whole show. It's not going to be a good show. Maybe he's really good, but you know what I'm saying? The tech guy is not normally the performer. The ego is like the tech guy. He's not meant to be out there running the show. He's meant to serve and assist and help. All right? So it's not about who's right and wrong. One of the favorite things now, and you women better watch out for this, here comes the Dalai Lama and goes, oh yes, the Western woman will be the savior. The spiritual awakening of the Western woman will be the savior of mankind. And women all over the world, their little egos massaged, go, oh yeah, we're so more evolved than the stupid men. Be careful. Be careful. Because all these things are just separating from the flow of life. By the way, the Dalai Lama is into transhumanism, meaning he would like to get rid of sexuality and bodies altogether. So you may not be listening to him for so much advice. Again, it's the same thing. If you're worshiping the Pope or the Dalai Lama, you're giving all your spiritual power to a figurehead. All right? The Tibetan system, and now I'm stepping on some spiritual toes right here. The Tibetan system basically was a feudal slave system. You had monks and lamas, and then the poor people that just worked their asses off and gave everything to the church, in this case, the lamas. What's the difference between that?
Still.
Well, no, they got kicked out by the Chinese guards, you know.
Yeah.
So now they're trying to, whether Richard Gere is involved with it or not. But anyway, look deeper for the real teaching here. So now, okay, religionism can really screw up sexuality. But so can romanticism. Now I'm going to step on you women's toes here.
Uh-oh.
Romanticism can be equally ensnaring and deadening of the real life force. I used to have to film, again, back to Romeo and Juliet. Did that work out well? No.
Yeah.
What happens when someone is murdered? Where do the cops meet? What statistically, who's the killer statistically? Immediately, the spouse is the primary suspect.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 80% of the time, it turns out that the lover, the partner, the romantic sexual partner is the murderer.
Or their hitman. How does that happen? How do you go from supposedly loving someone so much to wanting to kill him?
Right. Because we have been fed another ball of baloney here about romantic love. So romantic love, can be equally twisted. And this is shown, you know, if it's all this rule, like I remember I used to have to film weddings as part of my penance for having karma in other lifetimes. And I would remember times when this young couple would be married, and immediately that same night after the marriage, the woman would say something like, "You're mine now. You have to do what I tell you."
That's funny.
All right? Now, that's demonic romantic love. What I mean by demonic, that's ego, fallen ego, stuck mind means fearful control. So women are more guilty of that, usually, than men. But equal, really, it's equal, you know? But the whole pushing the romance thing, if it's not authentic, you know, that's a control mechanism. So romance can turn very controlling. You have to give me a card on Valentine's Day.
And don't forget my birthday, or my mother's, or my mother-in-law's.
If you forget our anniversary, it's the silent treatment and no pussy for you for several weeks. Right? Yeah. I'm exaggerating here, but to show, I'm not exaggerating, but I'm expressing. Now notice I'm not doing it the way Deepak Chopra would do it. He would say something like, well, any attachment about that is coming from the ego around the sexuality between the couple will hinder the actual expression of the divine love. That's true. But usually most people's minds go to sleep and go, what the hell does that mean? So I'm expressing it colloquially and down to earth, the way Jesus or anyone else who was a teacher tried to do it too, right? You use common expressions of the time. So romantic love can be equally trapping. This is why, women, you get your man and then you're bored with him. You're bored with him. That's why 50 Shades of Grey, what is. What we are attracted to is the biggest bestseller is 50 Shades of Grey, which is about a completely dominating man controlling a young woman, making her do unspeakable sexual acts that I kind of like them, but I get to blame him for making me do it.
Oh.
Wow. The reality is chaos is beautiful. Sexual chaotic energy creates our apple trees and our beautiful world. And the choice is stay in our heads and our egos and our rules of what relationships should look like. You're my man, that means you owe me this. You promised me. We had sex one night, and when we have sex, your body makes promises to the other person. How's that working out? How's that working out for you, ladies? Are you enjoying that? I'm being confrontive. I know that. But
there's even men that do that too.
Of course.
I was actually just talking to one today about that, who thought that, well, he had sex with somebody once, so he has to give he said that he felt bad, he would feel like a creep if he continued to talk to these other women, even though he just happened to meet her and she just happened to go down on him in a park, and now he's ready to give his whole life to her.
This is the programming. Now let me ask, now I'm going to blow some people's minds here too. I'm really pushing the boundaries here today.
Blow.
Sexual energy, I heard you, is free. Sexual energy is free. Now, some of you might have read The Ringing Cedars, these beautiful set of books written by a Russian guy about a Russian woman who's a free soul named Anastasia, who lives out in the North Siberian taiga, and she literally lives directly off of nature, and she's beautiful and full of God source energy. She's a free being. Now, this wealthy Russian guy who this is part of the Spirit's plan to get this information. If you haven't read the Ringing Cedars series, it's a beautiful set of books about how to get back in touch with the real energy of the earth. Things like, how to put the seeds of the things you plant in your mouth before you plant them so that they get imprinted with your DNA. The ringing cedars are these ancient trees that actually ring once they become a certain age. It's a beautiful set of books. I love it. I haven't read all of them, but I've tapped into her and that whole story. I was on a radio show a couple of years ago after the guy who writes those books. But here's what happens. When he, the wealthy entrepreneur business Russian, has sex with Anastasia, the free soul woman, and they create a child together, he doesn't see that child for 5 years. My sense of it is Anastasia didn't need him for anything. But she's not judging the man as just a stupid sperm donor either. But it was right for her to raise that boy by herself out in the woods and let him be in touch with natural nature, because that man at the time who had grown up inside the Russian system, business system, it wouldn't have been right. See, the old idea of that we have to cluster fuck as soon as you do fuck, that you have to stick to each other like Velcro, that is simply not so.
Yeah. A lot of pressure, huh?
A lot of pressure.
That's why we're so screwed up when it comes to sex.
I'm using Saint Anastasia for those of you that are really into going back to the earth and living naturally. Notice what happened there with her. She is a free being. She didn't need the man. There was no neediness there. There was a choice of wanting to and allowing the sex force and the life force to create this beautiful child with us. See, in the universe of complete abundance, there is no scarcity. You would not choose to stay together for the children and poison them with the fact that you actually hate each other, which happens a lot. We need to expand our whole idea of setting free sex. I am not talking about creating babies willy-nilly out of wedlock here. Anastasia is an awake woman. But notice, she didn't need the man around for those 5 years. Because there's an abundance of energy. When there's no shortage, how can there be a problem? But yes, of course, those people that are not in control, in conscious connection with their own sexual energy, you need to use birth control. See, in an awake, conscious human, there's no such thing as unwanted pregnancy. The awake, conscious state, you know. When I was 17 years old,
I think we got cut off.
Did we? No, it's coming right now, the music.
Okay.
The music's right there. I got a story about me and my girlfriend when we were 17 fucking in the truck when I come back.
Nice. Woo-hoo! Can't wait to hear all about that. And by the way, video where it didn't happen. Everyone stay tuned. We will be right back. Tobias Lars here on SoulJourneysRadio.com.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
Welcome to the world's meeting place. American
It's practically narcotic.
freedom
Oh, yes. I like very much.
radio.
You're an American institution.
American Freedom Radio.
All right, welcome back. And woo, boy, oh boy, did you stir up some excitement here in the text chat. We all can't wait to hear about the fuck truck. But I'm just wondering, is that like one of those porns where they claim that it's like allegedly amateur, you know, like gangbang bus, and you drive up to some, you know, helpless looking young girl and say, hey, baby, want to join the fuck truck?
That's why that's a good point, by the way. No, it wasn't. It was our friend's beautiful old, like from the 30s, fixed up truck, and we would take turns. Like him and his girlfriend. No, we weren't quite there yet. And of course, one of the girls involved later turned very Christian and very repressed. You know, it's the normal yin and yang pendulum swing back and forth. But no, we would, my first really, you know, long girlfriend. And so one time, well, anyway, they would finish in the truck, and then it's our turn. You know, that's how we would do it, right? When we'd be out and about. It was just a beautiful old truck from the 30s and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, during the actual coming orgasm, I could feel this rubber has broken at this point, right? And I knew it. My intuition said, and I can feel, pull out now. She got pregnant. I could feel the energy going into her in a different way. And I could feel, that's it. This one took. We're going to get pregnant here.
Oh.
And I knew that intuitively. I could feel it in my soul and in my energy, you know. There was no accident also. It was a thing we had to choose. And in a conscious state of sex, there is no such thing as unwanted pregnancies. The man, can direct the energy of the sperm, literally, before and after ejaculation. Now I'm sounding like Dr. Root. Right? And the woman, yes, look it up. cheese sandwich. Oh, God, I forget. Sam Kinison, Dr. Ruth. Check it out. Okay, go ahead. But anyway, and the woman can choose. And in an awake being, you are consciously aware of your energies. And, of course, you're consciously aware of your sexual energy. So even if you fully ejaculate cum, full-on coming penetration inside, the woman can choose, no, I'm not ready for a pregnancy. And the man can choose, no, I don't give my consent. I don't want that I contribute to the pregnancy. In the conscious state of sex, we are fully able to do that. I had a glimpse of that in that little that encounter with my girlfriend at 17 years old. I felt it. This was part of my training, so to speak. And it was fun training.
All right, yeah.
So that's what I wanted to point out with that. And also the other girl she was being, whatever, she was doing it against her Catholic upbringing, really. And she was kind of being rebellious about it with this guy who was a little older than us, and that was her boyfriend and so forth. So later, the pendulum swings back the other way to, I'm a strict Christian now. I've repented of all that. I've healed myself of all that. Jesus' blood has healed me of all that stuff. Now, I'm not saying that's not true. As I've said before, my sister was a strict, fundamental, in a sense. She was a Holy Spirit-filled Christian, and we could converse, and I've had my encounters with Jesus, too. So I'm not poo-pooing or putting any of that down. The real spirituality is always real. But, so I just wanted to share that story about being able to be conscious of sexuality. See, it's not willy-nilly. Overpopulation only happens when it's in our unconscious. When it's in the unconscious, you do need to use contraceptives because you still are not aware or conscious of your energies and when and how. So therefore, pregnancy seems to happen willy-nilly or outside of our consciousness. And this is also shown in a grotesque way, in my opinion, by the current thing about surrogate mothers and in vitro and all that. These couples that obviously the universe really doesn't want to having children, you understand what I'm saying here? They can't get pregnant by themselves, so they're what? They're going to cuckoo bird steal someone else's baby? Now, I know I'm stepping on toes by saying that, okay?
People
and I'm not saying
that.
What's that?
Yeah, people do that.
But I'm saying at times, see, it's not just a clinical, biological thing here. There's a spiritual aspect to it. That's what I could feel. This child that was going to be born to us, I talked to him and said, no, I can't be your dad right now. And my girlfriend had an abortion, you know. And it wasn't right for her either. I mean, I didn't make her do it at all. I mean, we couldn't have the baby. We're 17, right? Yeah. It was part of us learning. We did it on our own, by the way. Our parents never found out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was tough. You know, it was somewhat emotional and all that, but it was just right. And I've actually talked to that spirit that would have come in. See, we need to get deeper about all that subject as well.
Yeah, now he's Mark Hausman.
That's why Mark is torturing me. I get.
Oh, that's great. Or maybe it's me. Holy smokes.
No, you got your own situation going there.
I came back to get you.
We all come back to help each other awaken and awaken to real love, you know? Feel this right now. I feel also, again, it's not about promiscuity here. It's not about license.
No.
Get conscious with your sexuality. You know, the reason we don't, if you separate them, see, the porn industry is largely not innocent. It is a fallen type of sex. Now, I know. This is why in the porn industry there's not heart love often. You know, there's not kissing on the mouth and full-on I love you and, you know, all that. It's kind of just genital sexuality, often by a formula which bores the hell out of everybody. Okay, now there's going to be oral sex for 8.5 minutes. Then there's going to be missionary penetration. Missionary penetration. Then we're going to do it doggy style. Then we're going to do it reverse cowboy. It's so predictable. Everybody's like, that's why true amateur is more fun, right? That's why we want spontaneous, real eruption of the sex force. By the way, doing it out in nature or in strange places like the churchyard, like Christie just told me one of you said during the chat.
Yeah, or hey, I got the pitching mound in my college field.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
See,
baby.
awesome. Follow the energy. Now, isn't it amazing when you do have sex, you make love and fuck out in nature? Isn't there a lot more bang for the buck?
My garden likes it.
Yeah, right? Why is that? Because all of creation wants to join in. The little fairies and gnomes, they love it. They don't have a judgment on it. They just feel it as this beautiful, glowing sharing of energy, which is why in the rites of spring, the Celtic tribes and other cultures across the planet, we would go out and fuck in the fields. Because we knew it would literally feed the crop. You know, it would literally give the energy to the plants to grow in a way that they loved it. They have no judgment on it. Nature's fine. Don't worry about Mother Nature. She's fine. It's us that need to undo our self-judgments about this. And again, it's not a license to go out and have sex with everybody. Be honest with how the energy feels. Because there are a lot of feeding spirits that their sex might be wide open, but their hearts might be very shut. Now, if that's just to experiment and try it for a while, good, no judgment. But I would venture to say sexual diseases are only possible because your energy is somehow not aligned with the real source energy. Because the source energy heals everything, right? The organ studies by Wilhelm Reich, you know, the organ box, which was the orgasmatron, the orgasmic box, this is real energy. He would start healing people with it. Got shut down, killed by the AMA. Yeah, of course. But if you can also do the denial sex. So it's not a license to just have willy-nilly. See, swinger sex, most of it, 98% of it, has always felt icky to me. So does, quote, a tantra, where it's now we're going to worship the yoni for 12 minutes, and then we're going to worship the lingam. Now we're going to do the holy Shakti.
You remember those words.
That's
great. You remember those words.
I've been a yogi for several lifetimes. I've been exposed to this shit a lot. It's holy. Shiva and Shakti are actual holy beings, absolutely. But see, they don't do it that way. See, everything can be misused.
Yeah.
See, if it's
Shiva and Shakti count the minutes to worship the yoni. Yeah, right. And now I'm allowed to touch you here. And you're right. Class, now we want you to start gazing at the vulva. Really? Put your left hand on the buttocks.
Yeah. And you wonder why the men are like, really, honey? Energy does not lie. Energy does not lie. When you're out in nature, it spontaneously comes up, for a quickie, right? That's the time to do it. As much as possible. You might not get invited, as the old joke says, back to the restaurant. But what the hell?
Hey, someone here did it on the 19th hole.
Yes, outdoors, wherever it strikes you, fun, play. That's the innocence. That's innocence.
I wonder if the ball got stuck in that little hole thing.
God loves innocence. God loves innocence. Where the energy goes is where the energy wants to flow. Where energy flows is where energy wants to go. Ritualistic sex, not so much. Now, this is going to break all the rules. You're going to be attracted to your neighbor's wife. And
then what?
Exactly. And the conundrum is, see, sex is not going to go away. It's not going to change for you. For man-made laws, because someone says, this is how marriage should be and sexuality should be this way. The sexual energy that creates the whole universe, because on some little podunk Timbuktu planet, 3/4 of the way out in some galaxy, we decide with our little religionist crapola that this is how sexuality should be made. The universe is not going to comply with that. And the sex force is a direct hookup, you want the ultimate hookup, to the universal love. I'm having massive thunder go off just as I say that, by the way.
I heard that. That's nice. Yeah. Woohoo.
God, so I'm right here, God. Strike me full of life, because lightning is full of life. I'm a powder.
Strike me with the lightning, baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's no way around this conundrum, no matter how many laws we pass and how many ritual handbooks and the deacons and the sermons write. It doesn't make it change. Sex wants what it wants. Heart-aligned sex, God-aligned sex is completely safe, but it's going to blow apart, destroy, break all the rules and all the taboos. The rest is yakking for goddamn eternity. And I usually don't use that word, but it really is a goddamned low life force. You end up with arid lands. You end up in the wilderness. The rest is yak. Now, this is going to be a very tender area when you bring it up to your longtime partner. I want to have sex with her or him. And they have to be allowed to do it too. See? I did this with my first wife. You know, I was attracted to this. My first wife had sex with this other guy, and she hid it from me at the time. And I said, well, let's all talk, you know, let's all bring this out in the open. Which that other guy then got scared and sucked his thumb and ran off for the hills. Thunder again going off big time.
Nice.
And then when I was attracted to this Pleiadian star sister, I said, let's all meet, you know, and I want to just be open and honest about what's going on. And it was very difficult because it brings up huge explosions of emotions besides the other ones. See, swinging is different. You're suppressing it. But when you involve the heart and real love, this is true polyamory. And again, in the polyamory community, God bless everybody trying it, but you're going to set off World War III. Nuclear bombs, neutron bombs are going to be going off when you try this, okay? You're going to have all kinds of stuff. The repressed stuff cannot hide. When the light turns on, the roaches they're seen. So when you turn on love, meaning kissing, full-on kissing and your heart and your sex, and you take it from just two people to a third, see, a third makes it non-ownership. That is a huge explosion. This is where we're heading in the future. I'm sorry to say, folks, all those control mechanisms of no matter how many vows and blood rituals you do, it can't win. No matter how little dams you put up, the river's going to win. The Hoover Dam is going to lose. The Hoover Dam is going to lose. You can't dam your sex force, you're going to lose.
Very well said, Tobias. Hang on, everyone.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
News and information you can trust. This is American Freedom Radio. Freedom, American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
All right, welcome back. We are joined by funky, spunky Toby here tonight, giving us a little sexual education. Yeah, actually, something just came up on the chat regarding funky spunk. So, yeah, it just sounded good.
We're breaking all the rules. Like, you know, we're doing this on purpose, you know, because, again, if we did it clinically and did it very safely, that's the whole part of we've separated good and evil. We've made this good and that evil, or you can talk about this and not talk about that. So we've created this whole artificial reality by separating the good from the evil, you know, and thereby actually creating real evil. Real evil, the only real evil I feel and see is the original sin. separating God from sex. If you try to create a fake universe, it's a very lonely place. You try to create a separate timeline fake universe that is not run by natural, organic, sexual life force that creates all things in the universe. So you end up in a very lonely mind, ego, hall of mirrors prison. And that's the only evil that I can really find, if there is such a thing as evil. You can even say that that really is just a learning experience in what not to do, you know. Yeah. I wanted to share, I felt during the break too, this whole idea of separating love from fucking, God from sex, right? This is what has created our non-civilization. This is a very uncivil civilization. We've created an abortion, a horrible, grotesque, chimera, artificial thing that we call civilization. Because anything that is not from nature is really mortal and a death situation, right? So the whole thing, it's going to be an incredible battle when you start getting real inside the prison, if you start telling your truth, if you start experimenting with sex and your heart. Now, not swinging, denial, pornographic sex. By the way, some porn is holy, but the vast majority of it in my book, you know, when I see the formulaic porn, meaning by
So
porn,
basically just the porns that you made? Those
are absolutely holy.
Okay, all right, just checking. I mean, I just wanted to know which one was safe to rent.
Okay. One of my spiritual teachers, when he was at the film school and in college, they used to make money making porn movies.
Nice.
Absolutely. And everybody thought, you're making that up. You never did that. And then years later, somebody found the actual one of this movie. It was really funny. Like that, he's not lying. They were doing the pizza man, delivery man. They did all of them. They did all of them.
Now we know where you learned all you know.
Yeah. Actually, yes, it's true. Oh, Lord. God bless us all.
Did I make you forget where you were?
Made me blush in a good way.
Good. Blushing's good.
When your heart blushes, that's really beautiful, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels.
During sex, if you can get your heart to blush, and many of us have experienced that, if you can let that energy up into your heart and your head, you're getting a taste of the full body, the full spectrum human, you know? So if you get flushed in your chest, men and women, that's a sign that, in my opinion, you're doing it in a more full body way. That's just a different experience. If you keep it down in the genitals and just do it genitally, you know, it's a certain experience. It's
boring.
Yeah, it's all good. But, you know, some people say, hey, any sex is good sex. Well, it's not exactly.
That's... Okay, I think we should talk a little more, specifics and scenarios and how to deal with it.
Yes, I was feeling next week, let's really get into actual relationships between men and women. I think we laid a lot of groundwork about, obviously here, the sexual life force. We need to get healthy about it and deal with it. And some of the misuse or misunderstandings. We need to bring God and sex back together. God loves sex. We need to bring fucking and love back together. We need not to separate them, you know. And then it's a different experience. And so I was just going to say, it's very clear to me that this separation, we are caught in the fray. We're caught in the middle of the battle. And that's why relationships and existence and incarnation on Earth has been such a difficult thing for really thousands of years on Earth. And we stand a real chance of coming into the kingdom of heaven is coming our way. God is coming. God is coming. Now, you might have heard that in a new way from the topic we did today.
I just did. That's the first time I've ever thought that.
Because it's
Christ is coming.
So deeply hidden in us. But the language angels, the angels of language, the lords of language have placed many hints inside even our fallen, mechanistic, Descartes, separated, 26 vowels, syllables, all that, you know, letters, horrible constructed language. Even in our language, the English language, there's possible for unification and communion. Absolutely. So this whole civilization is a temporary separated state. And we have lived in a martial law situation, really in danger of the whole thing going to hell in a handbasket. So we can thank the old rules, but many of us, millions of us now, will be waking up to breaking open these boundaries, these prisons. And it's not a license, like I said. When you experiment, step out a little bit and go, okay, can I see you being open with your heart or your truth is just as powerful, and then sexually too. I mean, I would love, and I tried to in my younger years, let's all just have sex together and live happily ever after, Mickey. Right?
Mickey.
And that was kind of hard. That was difficult to do because it brings up so much for us. We have so much hidden, repressed fear and jealousy, and you like his cock better. Now I'm being very direct, right? Or you like her better, you know? And that whole ego thing, the ego has no place to hide when you expand the sexuality. And so it really is like setting off a neutron bomb when you go there in emotions. But you're going to feel so much freer. When it's timely for you, if you do it too early, you can hurt yourself. You understand? If you do it too early. So it's not about everyone should expand into polyamory. Not at all. Not at all. It's about you. Like I've said, in my personal life, I've been the least promiscuous guy I know because it hasn't run me as much. Sex hasn't run me as much. You know, as I see it when it wasn't as unconscious in me from other lifetimes, you know. I'm not putting myself, you know, saying, oh, I'm all great and all that. No. You know, I still have my fears and worries about it, but you want to proceed safely. So if it's like, no, I don't want to do that type of sexuality, proceed with what actually turns you on, take baby steps, and go to the next level, and ask what you really want. Don't worry, the universe will kick your ass if you're fooling yourself. If you're like, oh yeah, I'm all open about my sexuality. Really? Can I have sex with your wife? Hell no! Well, you got some work to do, buddy. You got some work to do, buddy.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I'm all open with my tantra, and I'll have sex, and we can all love each other, but don't you touch my wife. Okay. Yeah, all right. The universe will have to kick your ass for another 10,000 lifetimes, likely, until you get past that one.
Okay,
right?
So Tobias, what if your neighbor came over and said, hey, you're cool, but I just really have to fuck your wife?
It depends. First of all, I would never tell Joy no. I would never say you can't do that. I would say, I would be honest with my reaction to it, which could range all the way from this. That's creepy energy, but that's okay. Or hell yeah, can I watch? Or can you film it or I'll go to the movies and you guys just enjoy each other.
Oh, all right.
You understand? It depends on the situation and the energy. I will be honest with my energy. And if I feel it's not a healthy energy, I'll say that, but I will never say you shouldn't do it. Go learn on your own. I've never controlled any woman I'm with. I'm like, what you want to do, I love you, turns me on, okay? And if you want to go do that, great. And if you come running back going, oh my God, that was horrible, that sucked, I get it. And if you end up falling in love and you decide you have to make me the devil, la-di-da, I'm out of here, on to bigger and better things. I really trust it. It's a beautiful place when you can start trusting, because I really don't need a partner. Therefore, I can have partners everywhere I go. Once I'm happy with myself, more and more and more fulfilled by myself, I have soulmates everywhere I travel. Everywhere I go, people I meet, I can feel them as soulmates. And we're going to pick up relationships next week. Let's do part 2 if you want to, Christie.
I definitely do.
Where we talk more in detail about actual relationships like we're starting to here at the end.
Yeah, that was just a little teaser. So yeah, we'll get into practical application next week in different scenarios we may have to address or experience at some point in our lives. Yeah. Tobias, I love you. You're awesome.
I love you.
Your wife?
Yes, you can. Can I watch?
Not. Oh, man. So we will do part 2 if we're not, like, cut off the air by sometime between now and next week. But you all have an awesome weekend. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Again, Tobias Lars, his website is courseofawakening.com.
It's time to get real and heal. MyTrueEssence.net would like to tell you about Modifiland brown seaweed extract. It's composed of an elementally rich seaweed called laminaria. It takes 40 pounds of laminaria to make just 1 pound of Modifiland. There's nothing else like Modifiland. It is the richest in alginate, fucoidin, organic iodine, and lamarian. Alginates are the most effective organic element in nature that enable the body to rid itself of heavy metals, radioactive elements, and toxins. Fucoidin is an extremely effective anti-cancer substance found abundantly in brown seaweed. Organic iodine is the greatest protection for the thyroid offered by nature. Laminarin aids in the prevention and treatment of cardiovascular disease. Go to www.mytrueessence.net and click the Modifiland banner to get started on your path to rich health today. Also, check out the Healing Shop for proven essential oils, medicinal teas, and even health coaching. It's time to get real and heal. Go to www.mytrueessence.net.
Get real and heal. Listen to Christie on Soul Journeys Radio.
You're listening to the future of talk. American Freedom Radio. This is American Freedom Radio.